and irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of comfort call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of comfort call. One guy's out here, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend on a nine come as them. Only papi obeka na sembia. So I want one obet you too. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again nine. Once my boy dumping one and I see. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku drofo nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku trofo nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi se udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, then go resist.
A very good evening to you wherever you are. It's always my pleasure to welcome you to MyView Show live on Today's Ghana News TV. My name is Jerome, your usual host. And today, we come with another wonderful episode. Today, we aim to celebrate and highlight the experiences and challenges together with the achievements of women in leadership role while addressing a broader issues of gender equality and empowerment. We just celebrated International Women's Day, and that is exactly what we want to discuss and see where we find ourselves. And even it is important to have that such a celebration dedicated for only women. So if you have just joined us, we have just begun. You are not late, but do well to share the link so that many more others would join us so that together we will share our views on this topic. And as I've indicated, we are live on all our social media networks and on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and what have you. All you need to do is to subscribe to Today's Ghana News TV channel so that anytime there are updates, you will not be left behind until we come back to introduce the guest for this evening to you. I want you to continue to share the link and be patient. Today, once again, we have a very educative program and we have a seasoned guest who will help us understand the importance of International Women's Day. Stay tuned, I'll be right back. That's a wonderful journey. 4 years so far down the lane, and it's as a result of your total support and commitment that we have come this far. We are very grateful to all our viewers and to all our followers that together we have developed and we have come down 4 years down the lane. So today we want to look at, want to celebrate our women and highlight their experiences, as I did indicate. And to help me discuss this issue or this topic this evening is no other person but Miss Joanna Techi, and she is a woman activist and an educationist. And we'll use her to understand the essence of International Women's Day celebration and the role of women in leadership roles. Madam Joanna, you are most welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir. And
Wonderful.
greetings to all your viewers.
I'm sure everybody is grateful that you are on the show today, and everybody is all ears to listen to you. And then we see, International Women's Day celebration has just passed. I think that was yesterday. So, want to you are a woman activist, and what precisely do you do as an activist?
I really talk about women issue, especially the poverty in menstrual periods. That's the role of the government and women in higher position to ensure that sanitary pads are affordable to our young girls, especially in the rural areas. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
one of the advocacy that I
That you
talk
do.
about.
Are you doing it as an individual or is a group?
No, as an individual, I just talk about it. I raise awareness and then share my views on certain things bothering women in
Okay.
general.
That is good to know. So can you tell us a little bit about your current role and how you got there?
Okay, I am an educator at the Infanticum School and a form mistress and a secretary in the school as well.
Okay.
So I, as an educator, I ensure that I facilitate my teaching learning process through student-centered activity, where I create a conducive environment that enables my students to share their views freely. And as a form mistress, I also monitor students' punctuality, their regularity, and their discipline as a whole. I also ensure that I render moral support to students when the need arises. And as a secretary to the welfare, I ensure that the welfare of teachers is taken care of. So that's a bit about me, my
Yeah,
personal life and my
yeah.
career life.
I said in Pansipim, is it? Is it a basic school, the
No,
senior high?
the secondary in Pansipim school is the secondary school. Then in Pansipim basic is
Okay,
the basic school.
okay. That's great. So from this is little that we have just picked up about you. Let's look at International Women's Day. What does it really mean to you as an individual or personally?
Okay, the International Women's Day is a great day that is set aside to celebrate our women in our society and the world at large. It is a day to recognize the successes that have been achieved by women in general. And to me personally, it is a day set for me to acknowledge and appreciate the great women in my life who have played pivotal role in my personal development and my career development as well.
Wow. So that is a beautiful truth about the importance of the National Women's Day to you personally. But looking at it, do we really, why is it important for us to celebrate women in leadership? Why is it important?
Women in leadership should be celebrated because they aspire everyone. When women are celebrated, especially those in leadership position are celebrated, it serves as a motivation to the younger ones. They are able to look up to such women and then decide for themselves that one day they would also aspire, if not to become like these women, maybe higher than the position that they find themselves. So it is important and significant that we recognize the leaders in women in leadership position during this time and every time as a nation.
I have a little problem with this. If we have to celebrate women in leadership, why don't we celebrate men in leadership as well? Or you think that it is one of the responsibilities of men?
No, not actually. You know, in our society and in our part of the world, women are not given the opportunity to serve. Whenever a woman becomes an ambitious person, the world or the society um, criticizes that woman. And so when a woman goes through all these barriers to attain a higher height, it is important to celebrate that person in order to motivate other young women who are in other fields to motivate them that they can do it without any pressure. So it is important to recognize women as uh, it is for men too. But women deserve more due to our condition and how we find ourselves in our society.
Well, I quite agree with you. I quite agree with you. But let's look at you growing up and where you are now. I want to find out some of the women who inspired you throughout your career and what lessons probably you learned from them. I'm pretty sure being a Cape Coaster, you will start with Professor Nana.
Yes, I'm actually not a Cape Coast star. I'm
Uh-huh.
just residing there.
Cape
So,
Coast.
okay, I can become part of them. And first and foremost, I would like to elaborate on the fact that I've become so fortunate that I have great women in my life who inspire me a lot, especially in my personal life and in my career field. One of such women is my own mother.
Definitely.
Even though she's not educated, she is a hardworking mother who inspires me, to be perseverance or to persevere, to be resilient, to work hard and never give up in everything that I do. Again, I would like to acknowledge my professors especially my personal supervisor, Dr. Ama Abrefi Eje at the University of Education, Winnipeg. She's also an intelligent woman who inspires me a lot. She has taught me how to forge ahead and become the person that I want to become in the near future. The most important personality who has inspired me so much is our own vice president, our very own first female vice president of the country, Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman. She inspires me so much, even before she attained this height. She's an academic, and as an academic and an educator myself, I look up to her for inspiration. I have seen how higher she has gone through the academic ladder and all the position that she has attained. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud to be a woman because we have this wonderful woman today to lead us in our country. These women I've mentioned are my inspiration. They have motivated me a lot and have given me life lessons that I would forever be grateful for their efforts.
Great. So we have seen the women who have inspired you. I personally, from where I sit, looking at Professor Opoku Ajimai, and she has been a woman of her own word, right from the University of Cape Coast until she started as a lecturer, went up to Dean of Students, Dean of Graduate Studies, Pro Vice Chancellor, Vice Chancellor now, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and a potential President of the Republic of Ghana.
Yes.
So it tells you that wherever there is opportunity, the women can equally match up to the men at that level. Now, let's look at it. You, as a woman in leadership position, what unique perspectives do you feel you bring to your role?
Yes, I know as a woman in general, we have the inbuilt qualities that have been given to us by God. We are emotionally intelligent. We empathize a lot. We are able to bring up diverse perspective to the table when we are in leadership position. And so, as a woman in a leadership position, with these qualities that I've mentioned, I'm able to sort out different views from my colleagues whenever there is a challenge in my field of work and my role as a leader. I'm able to solve practical challenges due to the emotional intelligence that I have. I'm able to see beyond the human eyes. If a woman just look at you, she's able to tell you what is happening within you, and that's the gift that has been given to us, which is known as the cognitive emotion. It is the ability to intellectually see and understand the feelings of others, and that's what, as women and as a woman personally, I bring to the table in my role as a leader.
Wow. Has that helped you? Has that helped you greatly?
Yes, please. It has helped me greatly because whenever I face any challenge, I usually use my personal experience to solve such challenges. Especially when I was young, I went through a lot of challenges, but through the efforts and the adaptability that I have and the hard working, resilient attitude that I have, I overcame all those challenges, and now I'm not where I am supposed to be, but I'm forging higher. That's what I would say. So it has helped me a lot.
Wonderful. You have not reached where you want to be, and
Yes, please.
definitely, uh, with hard work and dedication, you will surely reach there because Professor Nana has given you the lean way. She says she's holding the door for all the women to pass through.
Yes, to lift us up. Yes.
Perfectly, perfectly. Now, let's look at the leadership styles of women and our traditional leadership models. Are there any difference? What significance can we see in there?
Okay, women in leadership position, as I stated earlier, have this diverse perspective that they bring. They are able to empathize. They are able to feel what other people go through. And so with these qualities, they are able to lead effectively and solve any challenge that comes ahead of them as compared to their male counterparts. The female leaders are able to understand people. They are able to feel what they are going through the cognitive intelligence that I mentioned earlier on. So this is what differentiates between the women leaders and the male counterparts.
Wow. So it means that the leadership in women is inbuilt, is Yehovah who has created it in them. So you
Yes,
only have to develop it.
sure. You would have someone to mentor you and bring out the inbuilt ability in you to exhibit that potential.
Oh, great. So if it is so, what do you think? What are the biggest barriers for women who want to pursue leadership roles? What are the biggest barriers?
I think one of the barriers or the challenges facing women who aspire to be leaders or to take up the leadership mantle is stigmatization and low self-esteem. In our part of the world, when women become ambitious, people stigmatize them. They tag them with disrespectful names and tags, and this intimidates women. It doesn't give them the opportunity. It doesn't encourage them to aspire to become leaders. And this is a barrier that we must all break because it is good that women partake in the leadership role due to the inbuilt ability that we have. It is important that everyone
I, I hope my producer.
encourage so that we can excel well in wherever we find ourselves as
Okay.
leaders.
Now, I will drop down personally to you because at the beginning you mentioned about your advocacy for especially girls in the rural areas or girls in general about their personal or menstrual hygiene and all that. How has that helped you as a woman in leadership position? What experience have you gained out of that?
Okay, research shows that there is a great number of menstrual poverty, which means that women, girls in general, are not able to afford the necessary things or hygienic things that will help them through their menstrual periods. And gaining this insight, it has motivated me to speak to it, speak about it, and encourage women in leadership positions, women in organizations to also donate and then see to it that they help touch their lives. If I weren't confident, I wouldn't take up this mantle and advocacy. And so this has motivated me a lot to speak to truth so that our young girls would also benefit from our institutions and organizations. Being a leader is not just the title, it is your ability to touch lives, and that is what inspires me.
Great. So, can you share some lessons, some good lessons, or that out of the result of your advocacy for menstrual poverty, you've been able to alleviate in some areas or to some extent?
So, to some extent, I would say that my advocacy have created some awareness. So it has my advocacy and my ability to speak to this problem has created some awareness in general. Now, a lot of people are aware that most girls in our rural areas are not able to even afford menstrual pads. And I also speak to the fact that when the menstrual pads were taxed, I spoke against it, that the government should ensure that they will do something about it. Even though they didn't do anything, I believe in the current president and believe solely in our vice president, who is a female, that this advocacy would be taken into consideration. Personally, I also donate some sanitary items to some of the villages near me and some of the villages in my hometown. And that's what I normally do during Christmas and birthday celebrations.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear. And someone even sent in a question already. You spoke out against the taxation of the sanitary parts. Someone is saying that the budget is going to be read tomorrow, if I got it right, and the budget is going to be read tomorrow, and everyone is talking about the scrapping of e-levy and the betting tax. It seems women and gender activists like you, Jan and Joan, you are not talking about the taxes on sanitary pads. Will you agree with this person? Because so far, I don't know.
Yes, I think the sanitary pad taxation has been something that we have spoken a lot about. And so, given that the new government has resumed office, I know for a fact that Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, Her Excellency, will take that into consideration. And I believe that the finance minister will speak about the removal of taxation on our sanitary pads.
Wonderful. We hope that it works
Yes,
out
I'm
because
praying. I believe
yeah,
in them. So we are just giving them the benefit of the doubt that they will do it. Yes.
sure. Now there's a saying that catch them young and train them so that when they grow they will not depart from it. That is in the good
Yes.
book.
Yes.
Do you have any plans of catching the young girls in our JSS and then start bringing them up as a result of training their mind towards leadership responsibilities?
I think I have that in my bucket list. And now my problem is I teach in a male school or boys school, so I don't have the opportunity to meet these young girls. But as I said earlier, whenever it's my birthday or during Christmas and I feel like donating to the young girls in the villages, I'm particular about the village those who find themselves at the village, because
Okay.
they are not able to see what those in the cities and those in town see. And so whenever I get the opportunity, I educate them. I tell them that there is power in whatever they set their minds on, that they should learn hard, forge, and persevere towards their aim. And with hard work and confidence, they can attain any heights that they aspire to attain.
But do you have in mind, or probably forming a small group, advocacy group, that can take up this responsibility instead of doing it as a single person?
I think I have to plan towards that. I think I have to plan towards that.
Yeah.
Combining academics with my teaching and everything. So I think just after my thesis and graduation, I would think towards that area.
Okay. Okay. So you schooling in Winneba, right? Or
Yes, please.
okay.
Winneba.
Okay. Okay. So now let's look at a few things or a few steps, like where you sit. What steps do you think organizations should take to at least create more opportunities for women in leadership roles?
I think organizations should, a conducive environment that enable women to aspire to be great in their position. There shouldn't be any form of stigmatization. There should be equality, equality in all, for everybody. We shouldn't just restrict it to the male counterparts. We should share the booty among everyone to enjoy. If there is some free or something that would help uh, prevent some restriction from the workplace, especially for women, I encourage organizations and institutions to do that, because women especially bear the brunt of combining working and taking care of the houses. So their burden is enormous. And so when organizations give a little freedom for women to also aspire to relieve their burden a little bit, it will encourage more women to also grow and aspire to be in a leadership position.
Okay. Um, Auntie Joan, you know what I want to do? I want to give you the opportunity to take a glass of water, and then I'll take the messages from our followers. But when we come back, we want you to share with us whether you have experienced or observed any gender bias in the workplace. Fortunately, you are teaching in a male-dominated school, So
Okay.
when we come back, we'll want to get a gist of it from you. For now, I will take the messages from our followers, and then I will return to you. So wherever you are, this has been a wonderful show coming to you live on today's Ghana News TV. MyView is the program, and we are privileged to have a woman activist sharing with us her experiences and interactions on the International Women's Day. Why it is important to have women in leadership roles. Your views are welcome. Now, what you have sent in, we would read that, and then we would come back. Mavis says a powerful show watching from Lisbon, Portugal. Grateful, Mavis. NDC Diaspora Union. Happy International Day, International Women's Day, I'm sure. Joan, you have a good project and you have to carry it to a higher level. So, Joan, you have a good project and that you should carry it to a higher level. Okay. Sweet Mother Tete. Sweet Mother says, good evening, watching from Accra. Sweet Mother, very good evening to you, and I hope you are doing very well. Enjoy Accra. Asampa Hinebwachi says, the budget is going to be read tomorrow, and everyone is talking about scraping of e-levy and the betting tax. It seems women and gender activists are not talking about the taxes on sanitary pads. Watching and listening from Achim Hima. Well, she has said they have spoken about it, and they have the belief and trust in Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, to have made an impact on the budget in response to sanitary pad taxation. Nanata Fremuse is watching from Tatali Northern Region, and greetings from Sakina Information Center listeners. We are very grateful that you're carrying our feet, Nanata Fremu. LA Council says, congratulations, keep the fire burning. Kudos to all women in leadership. Grateful to all the women. Kempin Bob says, good evening, watching from Paris, France. Please kindly ask Ms. Joan if she will vote for any woman who is contesting as president, or she will look for the competence of the person. Okay, when she comes back, I will ask her. She will answer it for you. Frimpon says, I'm watching from Akuse. I'm really enjoying the show. Madam is vocal and, okay. She is vocal and eloquent. Does she have political ambitions? Oh, gosh. Okay. Joan has to answer that question, not me. I know. Lady Maltu says, good evening, Jerome and your guest, watching on Switch from St. Petersburg, Russia. Lady Mal, grateful. Sakwa family says, good evening, watching from Jimapo near Koforidua. Please ask Joan what is her take on the female porters popularly known as Kayaye. Okay, Kayaye. I would ask her. Kwesi Insian says, God bless Miss Joan. God bless Miss Joan for doing her part to support the less privileged girls in the rural areas. She should take your advice. I think I've missed that. She should take your advice to form a group. Okay. To form a group. Jaframa TV says, greetings from Rara in Oti region. My big brother Kokuyevu says, watching from Suhum in the eastern region. Yeah. Okay, that has been a wonderful show, and we are still on. Wherever you are, you have the opportunity to still share your views on the topic, celebrating International Women's Day, and we're looking at the experiences and barriers that often come up against women in leadership. And I'm privileged to have Madam Juan, Miss Juan, who is my educationist and a woman activist, sharing her experience and expectations of women in leadership roles. So bring Miss Joan back, and then we will take it from there. Yes, I said when I come back, I would want you to share some experiences or gender bias in your workplace that you have experienced, especially you who is teaching in a male-dominated school. John, can you get me? Or we have lost her? Okay, we will see. Zanti John, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, I was asking that before we went, there are several questions that have come up, especially concerning Kaya and other things. But before we get to those questions, I asked if you have experienced or observed any gender bias in the workplace, and how did you handle such situations?
Okay. Fortunately for me, even though I am in an institution which is male dominated, I haven't encountered any gender bias towards any female colleague or any female as a whole. And I would say that the Infanticum School as a whole, we respect one another's view, and if there is a challenge, we all come together. Our motive or our main is collaboratively work together to promote the academic success of our students. And so far, so good. I haven't encountered any challenge of that sort.
Okay. Uh, I forgot to even ask what subject you teach at Infansipe.
I teach the English language.
Okay. Then my question might not be that very relevant, but all the same, how do you assess the science and math quiz? Is it really what will I say, a criteria to use to classify schools?
I don't think the science and math quiz should be solely used to classify a school as a good school or a grade A or B or C school. Education is general. It should be something whole. It shouldn't be based on just one aspect. In Fanticum School, for instance, uh, we educate students who come out as whole individual. So as an infanticum student, you come out being disciplined. You know what you are expected to do in the society. We don't just train your mind or the cognitive alone. We train your soul and your hands. And so you realize that during the recent ended sporting events at the Central Region, we came up as first in almost all the events. And so we train students to be wholesome. We don't just train students to have the cognitive capacity to memorize everything without touching their souls and their hands. So I don't think that a school or any organization should solely base their categories of schools on the science and maths quiz solely.
No.
It should be all round.
I agree with you because they have made a science and math quiz to have lost its relevance as at now because the way it is going. Now, there is still another question. There are a number of questions for you. Okay. Now,
Okay.
let me get back to those questions and come back. He says that please ask her if she will vote for any woman who is contesting as president or she will look out for the competence of the person.
First and foremost, if any woman aspire to be a presidential candidate, that woman, I believe, whether educated or not, let me say, whether literate or not literate, is someone who has the ability to lead. As I told you earlier on, a leader shouldn't just be someone who has a qualification or who has title, someone who is able to touch lives. And so when someone a woman aspires to be a president in future, I will look out for her competence. And I believe any woman who aspires to be a president would definitely be someone who is capable of leading. Thank you.
Wonderful. There's another question coming up. This one is very personal. I should find out from you whether you have any political ambitions.
I surely do have political ambition, but I'm not yet there. I'm building myself up to aspire for any role in the political field when the need arises. So I'm building myself up.
When the need arises, that's a
Yes,
very good point. We'll underline it. If the need doesn't arise, it means that we will not see you in the political front.
sure.
Okay. Now, there's another one. Please ask her what is her take on female porters, popularly known as kayaking.
Hmm. It saddens me a lot to hear this question, looking at how hard we are fighting for women to occupy higher positions. Nevertheless, we cannot critically say much about this issue. We all, as advocate, women activists, we can come together and then plead, appeal to our vice president, who is the first female vice president in the country, to look into such cases. I believe that when we come together as women to uh, make or write some proposal for these individuals, they will be able to be mentored and trained so that they can also have their handiwork in order to leave the work of the porter. I think that's my take about this issue. Yes, we can
Okay.
write a proposal and encourage women in organizations to take up the mantle to train these young girls to also have some handiwork so that they wouldn't find themselves in where they find themselves now.
But let me get a quick one. We have this issue of these kayayes who are down there, and most of them travel down to do this to raise funds to enable them further their education. Even though sometimes it ends good and at other times it ends bad. The previous government decided to put up a hostel to house these Kayaye so that they'll have a convenient place to sleep and continue to do the Kayaye business at the business centers in Accra. How do you assess that?
Personally, I think that isn't the prudent way to go about it, because if we continue to indulge them in this activity, they would think that it is normal for them to participate in this kayaye business, and so putting out houses for them to settle in and then continue with this kayaye wouldn't help, and I wouldn't encourage any leader to go towards that trend.
Okay. Let me take. There are some two other ones that just came. Yembore Kwan says, "Good evening, boss. Watching from Takwa Dog, looking great as usual. Good greetings to Yembore and the entire family, especially Joshua in the house." Frema Oye says, "Please kindly ask her if she is happy with the current number of women in Parliament and their performance. Watching from Manchester." That is the question that has just landed, Madam Joan.
Yes, yes. I had wanted to speak about it. It's quite unfortunate that even though we have women in a pivotal role in our governance, the number or the percentage of women representing us in parliament, it's about 14.5 or so percent, which is very bad. As I said earlier on, when women become ambitious, our society do not allow them. They criticize them and intimidate them, stigmatizing them. And so women who aspire to also become leaders feel intimidated. They don't want to be tagged names. And so they are not motivated to become leaders, especially parliamentarians. And so I would encourage everyone, every one of us, to push any woman who aspires to be a leader. I would encourage the political parties to allow some percentage of women to contest in their stronghold, and this would enable the percentage of women in parliament to increase.
Uh,
Thank
so if
you.
we say they should allow a certain percentage of women in their political parties, it means that a portion should be reserved for women. But I think so far you have seen that the women and the men should be
Yes,
apart. So why do we have to reserve a portion for them instead of allowing them to fight for it?
as I said, in the stronghold of the political parties, it is automatic. The assurance of the parliamentarians who would be contesting in those areas winning is very high. And so to encourage more women to take leadership role in our governance, it is critical for the political party to give the chance, if not 50% chance, at least 40% of their representatives should be allowed in their stronghold. Since in the stronghold, those who would contest there are sure of winning. And so this would encourage more women to be in parliament as compared to this current number, which is very bad.
We hope that works out well because now we have passed the affirmative action bill into law, so which means that the women are given a certain privilege, and I'm praying and hoping that this time around Cape Coast Municipal you are going to have a woman there. I think Mabel is in the four lead, and we are hoping that you get another woman again as a municipal chief executive. But where you sit. Um, Ms. Joan, where you sit, what advice would you give to young women aspiring to be leaders in their fields?
I would encourage any young lady who aspires or intend to take any leadership position to be self-sufficient, be self-aware, and be confident in whatever she does, so that whenever there is opportunity, whenever the need arises, she would be able to grab that opportunity to serve her country. When women are confident, they are able to compete with their male counterparts. But if they are not confident and they are reserved, they are not able to put in much work, it becomes difficult for them to take up any leadership role. So I would encourage the young ladies and young girls to aspire to be great, so
You
that
know,
they are able to serve the country and able to serve in any leadership role that will be given to them in the near future.
yeah, one thing with women in leadership role is about balancing their responsibilities as women in the house and their
Yes.
personal life and then the role that they have to play. That I see to be a big problem. So, from where you sit, what sort of self care strategies do you recommend for women in high pressure roles?
I think they should be able to balance the working or their role as leaders and their personal lives effectively. They shouldn't, when there is a need for them to rest and relax, they shouldn't bring in any role or any work into their personal space. They should engage in exercises, they should do meditation, and they should have time for themselves, because you taking good care of yourself would also enable you to actively participate in your work and role as a leader. So that's my advice to them.
Now, one thing that is very conspicuous is in the current government's manifesto is about maternity leave. I think
Yes,
they promise to give, is it 6 months or is it how many months maternity leave?
I think 6 months.
6 months. So,
Yeah.
assuming without admitting that it has been implemented, when women have their rules and they have given birth, will you, as the boss, allow a breastfeeding mother to bring the children to the office during working hours?
Yes, please. I will use my school for example. I realized that most of my female counterparts gave birth this year, I think last year. So about 8 of them gave birth. So it became very stressful for management, and so the welfare with partnership with management sought with that we can create a daycare for this young children. So we created a space, and we have employed um, caregivers to give to care for these babies, and this also helps in promoting the welfare of ladies as a whole. So if I become a leader one day, I would use this particular practice that my school is using.
I think if wherever I am, when you implement it, I will support you. You know,
Okay,
I would
thank
I would
you.
support you on that. Now let's now calm down. So far it is only the women we are having up there. We have to bring the men inside so that we can balance the equation. So
Yes,
what do you believe is the role of men in advocating for women's leadership and equality in the workplace?
I think men in general should be our allies. They should promote our good work. They should advocate for us. They should encourage us. They shouldn't stigmatize us. It is important that women, when they are encouraged, they are able to exhibits efficiency in any role that they occupy. And so I will urge every gentleman to encourage and motivate any lady at all that aspires to take any leadership role. And that's my word to the gentlemen. Please be our allies, encourage us. Without you, we don't exist. So push us so that we can all have equality in our field of work.
Well, the men will definitely push you up. They will push you up. Just a minute. Nyame Yao Bio says, good evening and greetings from Nkonta in the OT region. We have been under curfew for the past 8 months. And life is becoming very unbeatable. Wallahi. So there has been I think it was a tribal issue fight in Nkonta, and they have been under curfew for the past 8 months. We know women play a greater role in bringing about peace. What role could a women group have helped to bring peace in Kwanta?
As I stated earlier on, women have empathy. They are able to see beyond what other people see as women. We are able to understand other people's feeling. And so when women are given the chance to maybe have a collaborative engagement with the stakeholders in these communities, I believe that with our communication ability and cognitive emotions and how do I call it, emotional intelligence, we can help resolve this issue of conflicts in
Okay.
those areas.
Wonderful. Mrs. Bogo says that, how I wish I was teaching in your school. I have to send my boy to school so that I can teach. She's also a teacher, so she's telling you that in her case, she has to send her boy to somewhere else, different school, to enable her come to her place. But in your case, you people decided to put up a crèche, and that is more helpful.
Yes.
Koku Yebu says, please, there is a notion that women are their own enemies. Does she believe that? Okay, Madam Techi, the question is that do you believe that?
I don't believe in that saying, because to be able to be great, you would have to lift someone up so that the person would also look up to you. And so any woman who backbites a fellow isn't a great leader and shouldn't be allowed to occupy any position at all. Women should help one another to be great in our society and organization. So I
Wonderful.
don't believe in that assertion that women are their own enemies.
Well, Koku, over to you. She says that she doesn't believe that. Well, our time is far running, but I have just two more and then we call it a day. From where you sit, you have just started the advocacy, you haven't gone far. But what changes or advancement would you like to see in the next 5 to 10 years regarding women in leadership roles?
So in the next 5 to 10 years, I would like to see women occupying bigger positions such as CEO, board chairman, uh, and above all, being the president in our country. And this can only happen when we encourage women to aspire and aim and soar higher. Through perseverance and resilience, we can attain this achievement. And that's what I expect to see in the next 5 to 10 years. I would wish to see that in our parliament, the percentage of representative of women will be the same as the men in
Yeah,
parliament.
that'll be 50-50.
Yes,
Well,
please.
it's a good proposal. So the women You cannot just get up overnight and get there. You have to gather yourselves and you have to work
Yes.
because you are in a male dominated, as people say, they don't want us to say so, that this is a male dominated area. They don't want it that way. It is just an area that is open to everybody. And therefore, we all have to fight equally to occupy those positions. Finally, finally, Madam Techi, what would be your one key message for women who are just starting out on their leadership journey? You have gotten halfway. What would be your one key message that you give out to women who are just starting out?
They should push harder. They should persevere. They should be resilient in every aspect that they find themselves. There will be hindrances from other people, from their um, colleagues, from their families, from their friends, but they should be persistent. They should persist and persevere towards their aim. And I believe when they do that, they would achieve greatness and in their field of work and in their organization as leaders.
Wonderful. Kweku Yevu comes back to say the lady is very okay. The lady is very good in communication. She should do more media engagements more often. So this is a recommendation from you that they need to see your
Thank
face more.
you.
And I'm pretty sure we will have to again so that we can specifically this time not only celebrating women in leadership or not only considering the National Women's Day, but we want to consider your role that you are playing, and especially with the menstrual poverty that you are carrying across for the women or the ladies in the rural areas, so that we can look at it and then see how best we can go beyond the individual, form an organization, and be able to help them. Indeed, it is true. You remember the first term of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, there was a World Bank project on sanitary pads for women and
Yes.
for girls in schools, and it became another political game.
Mhm.
But in the case of the menstrual cycle of women is irrespective of who is NDC, MPP, or whatever
Yes.
it is. You are all ladies, and then you all go through it. You know. So we would say thank you very much, and probably let me give you a few minutes just to say a few words to all the followers who have been with you and who have followed you up to this point, and especially your girls who are in the rural areas. You have to give them a word of encouragement.
Okay, I will say thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity that you have given me this evening, and I would appreciate everyone who has supported me throughout my life journey and my career life, especially my parents. I would also encourage my girls and the young girls in the rural area that when they persevere, when they learn, when they become confident, they can attain any height that they wish to attain in life. They shouldn't give up. They should forge ahead. We see them, and I believe that this government would uh, do anything that is possible to help relieve some of their pains and their setbacks.
Wonderful. A very thank you to you for your time as well. And it's been great having you this evening. And wherever you are, whoever has joined us, we've been speaking with Ms. Techi, who is a woman activist and an educationist. Together today, we aimed to celebrate and highlight the experiences, challenges, and achievement of women in leadership roles, whilst also addressing the broader issues of gender equality and empowerment. So that has been the show, My View, coming to you live on today's Ghana News TV. And on behalf of my producer, Seth, and the entire team. We are very grateful to all of you for being part and parcel of this great family and traveling down the line for 4 good years with us. Without you, we wouldn't have come this far. Indeed, we are grateful, and may we continue in that partnership to develop more for the greater good of the Ghanaian in Ghana and in the diaspora, and for the greater good of all Africans. Until we come your way again with another edition of our show next week, take good care of yourself, and Yehovah bless all of us. Good night.